Okay, so just quickly, what we will cover in this meeting is to go through how to take a normal standard spreadsheet and we have an example spreadsheet here. Which I'll bring up in 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Just trying to get the sharing up. So the example we created here was, so the objective here would be, this is a standard spreadsheet that we have got a staff member name, an address, a date of birth, and then we've just set up an example of a assessment date, a serial number, and potential the contract renewal. And we gave in this example, we're using 50 example of about 50 staff, and how we would manage based on potentially, say, for example, we wanted to set up a reminder system instead of just having reminders in your calendars or trying to keep track of all these dates that can be very important, to actually set a reminder on, example, the date of birth. So what we will go through is Wesley will host setting up taking all these fields. We will start with creating it manually, and then we will show you how easy it is to actually go through the process of taking this existing sheet and create the application based on the fields that we have here. So, so during the meeting, if you have any questions, you can just message directly on the YouTube channel, and Chris will be monitoring that. And you can just post any questions directly to Chris Harvey. He will help us moderate. Thank you. Wesley, over to you. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, you can stop sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, can everyone see?
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, so obviously this is the page that you'll see as soon as you create your new application. So I think we'll probably just demonstrate creating a form real quick. And maybe we'll just call it contacts, or do we want to call it staff? We'll call it staff.
So just to interrupt there very quickly. So we're using an application called Zoho Creator. That's basically a application builder that you can do drop and drag of fields that you want. So we'll quickly take the first two fields, the staff name, and just show you how easy it is to create it based on with the drop and drag functionality.
So yeah, we'll do staff name and an email. We'll click done.
So we could have now continued and manually create all the fields that we had in the spreadsheet earlier. Wesley, could you just bring up that spreadsheet again for us?
Yeah.
So just to go through again, so the fields were the staff name. If you could just move it a little bit. So the staff name, the office address, the date of birth, assessment date, potentially if it's a HR assessment, whatever it might be, the mobile serial number, and the contract renewal. So we could manually go and drop and drag, which is quite easy and simple. But now we'll go through existing spreadsheet and actually automatically create the application from there. Thank you, Wesley. Go ahead.
Cool. So we'll go back in, we'll edit. we're going to go add new. We'll add a new form, but now we'll import with the data. So we're going to import with our Excel spreadsheet data. We'll go local storage. We'll choose our spreadsheet. And then here we can see it's imported all the data. We can review all of it. And it's already named our headers, or based on our headers, it's given the fields their names. We'll go create.
So it automatically picked up the type of fields based on the information we had in Excel. Did you have to, we didn't even really have to go and do proper formatting of the Excel spreadsheet cells itself. It sort of generically picks up, and it gives you opportunity to redefine it also.
Yeah, so obviously in our Excel spreadsheet, these date fields were dates. So it knew that these were dates, and then based on obviously the formatting of the addresses, it knew that they were addresses, and it knew these were numbers. So when we go in here and we access the application, we access. Now we have a form based on staff name, address, date of birth, and next assessment date. So all these fields have been given an entry where we can enter it ourselves. And if we go to the report, then we can see all of the data is already in here. And we can edit each one individually.
So all the data was imported in the same exercise.
And so now obviously the next thing that we would like to do is maybe set up a reminder based on one of these dates. So I think we'll probably use the contract renewal date, and we're going to have an email be sent out when the contract renewal date, when we hit the contract renewal date. So we're going to go edit. We're going to add, and Zoho uses something called workflows to obviously add functionality to our form. So we'll click new workflow. We'll go on a scheduled date. And we can do it on any specific date, but maybe we want to use a date that's in our form. So we'll choose the form we created, which was staff. Oh no, it was contracts. And then we'll choose the contract renewal date. And we'll say we want to execute the workflow on the above date. And then we choose the time we want it to happen. So we'll just make it 9. It will happen once on that date. Then we'll just name it. So we'll say send email. We'll create it.
Just as an example here, to just to give you an idea behind also a little bit of the thinking, is always to use potentially a group email, like it might be HR or accounts. So in this example, we just got contracts as an example email address. So we just had a question coming in from Rob asking whether if we had to change the email address in the spreadsheet. Well, what we are doing here, if it will update automatically, basically what we are doing here, we don't do a live link between the two sources. We are actually migrating away from the spreadsheet as a solution, and we bring it into a live environment where it's always active. So it will always do certain actions based on what we ask the program to do. So it's not laying dormant on in a folder somewhere in a structure, but it's actually, we bring it, it's almost like we're taking it and we give it actual features that is almost like 3-dimensional. So now we'll say, so this will become our data source. If we wanted to re-import the data, obviously we have the fields, we could do it there also. Thank you, Rob. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, so obviously we're deciding to use this as our new spreadsheet application, for instance. But to continue on with this, we'll just add a new action and we'll choose notification. We'll choose send email. So it's going to send from the admin's email address and it'll send to, this is where we can choose obviously an email field that's in the form. So we have reminder email in our form, which is
contracts. Yeah, in the example, it's contracts at, and that could be different address, email addresses also, but it's obviously easier having it going to a group. So if John doesn't work in the contracts department anymore, hopefully the new person is part of the contracts group. Just a suggestion there.
And obviously we don't have to use the form. We can obviously just type whatever email address we want in here, but since it's set up in our form, we'll use it. And then we'll make our subject. Here we can obviously, we can type, I'm not sure, we can type like renewal, or we can insert a field. So we'll choose staff names and we'll say staff names, renewal date.
So maybe just to explain a little bit there, the start date is obviously the variable. So that's changing to whatever is relevant for that specific date that this flow or action becomes relevant. So it will take the variable name that's forever changing based on the date. We could insert other fields in there also.
Yeah, obviously if there's more fields in the form, we can use whatever ones we want, and in the message we can do that as well. We can add the date of birth and the email addresses and the staff names here, so we can obviously put the same thing here. So we can say their staff names renewal has arrived, and then we can click save, click done, you can access. So now, for instance, if we went to contracts and we looked at all of our contracts, there will be an email now that gets sent out to that email address based on the state in this field. And then if we added a new one, we would add, just put my name here. We put our address, we put our date of birth, and then based on what's in this state and this email address, it will send an email to me or to that email address. I think that's that.
I think that was 10 minutes, or how long are we? So I think one of the questions that came in was the cost for Zoho. So you get different versions, but the very entry-level cost, and it's all based on usage and how many of these actions do you want to take place and how much data are you storing, is basically, it starts, the lowest rate is about $10 US per month for that. And you actually get quite a fair amount of functionality, but a lot of the features built up. And what we'll do is we will send more information after this, so where you can go and find. You're welcome to ask us any questions about this also. There's a lot of other functionality built into Zoho. You could send text messages. You could have more than one form picking up information to another form. You can virtually create anything with endless possibilities. And I think the key thing for us is the fact that you can do virtually development in the space of 1/10 of the time and 1/10 of the cost compared to your traditional sort of development approaches. Do we have any other questions? Chris, do you have any questions?
Nothing from me, Isaac.
Okay, do we have any on the YouTube channel?
No.
Okay, excellent. Hopefully it was helpful, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. Thanks, Wesley. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure.